Hi, I'm Idan. I'm one of the three people that raised their hands yesterday when Jan asked if there's a designer in the audience. It's like me, Giannis, and some other dude. Yeah, so I'm a designer and a developer, I guess. Oh, yeah, sorry. In response to yesterday's complaints of fast speaking, we're going to try a new system with this talk. If I'm talking too fast or you can't understand what I'm saying, raise your hand and just keep holding it until I see you, and then that'll be fail. So I'm Idan. I'm a designer and I'm a developer. I'm probably a better designer than a developer, given the audience in this room, I think. Yeah. But I'm the designer behind Django Advent, and I also did a whole bunch of design work for the conference in addition to helping organize it, which was awesome. I think everybody should go and shake the rest of the organizers' hands because they did such a wonderful job. So yeah. Right. So yeah. So I do a little bit of both, and I have a problem with people who are they think there's this divide between developers and designers. I don't think they're actually quite as different as people make it out to be. There's this irrational fear of design among developers. Like, I don't do front end. It's that magic creative shit that designers do. No, it's not really. It's a discipline, and you can learn it like any other. So why even care about design? Why talk about design at a developer conference? I can't teach you the fundamentals of design in half an hour. So really, I want to get you to care a little bit about the kind of design that you can do. Last year, I think Jacob gave a talk in Argentina or something about snakes on the web, and in it there was this slide that listed a whole lot of stuff that modern web developers are supposed to know about in order to deliver, modern, scalable, usable websites. And the list is actually longer than this. But I looked down this list and I said, wow, design is kind of missing from this list. It should be there. It should be one of those things that developers know a little bit about. You don't have to be an expert, but who here really knows a lot about, I don't know, whatever, bucket testing? You probably know a little bit about it, enough that if you had to, you can go and Google it and find your way and do it and get it done. And I think you should have the same approach to design because it's important to delivering a good experience to your users. So I think it belongs on that list of things that everybody should know a little bit about. There's a famous usability guy, cognitive scientist named Don Norman, did a bunch of studies or wrote an article about other people who did studies. Attractive things work better. We work really hard to, reduce page load times and do caching and reduce round trips and whatever, just so that we can give users a better experience. Look at design the same way. You're improving the end user's experience. That's why you should know a little bit about it, because it changes how people perceive your web app. Maybe, I don't know, as I go through, I'm going to go through the greatest hits of things that I think are generally ugly about programmerware interfaces and things that are easy to fix. And maybe a lot of them are obvious. We come pre-equipped with the ability to identify good design. What we don't come pre-equipped with is the ability to say why a design is good. We can say, oh, that looks really awesome, but we don't know why. And so that's kind of what this talk is going to be about. It's going to be about pointing out things that are hallmarks of good design, so that you'll notice them from now on. And as you see them in more and more sites, you'll come to, I guess, get a feel for how to do it for yourself, even if it's just some demoware that you're showing to somebody in order to convince them to fund your project or whatever. Am I speaking with a microphone too far away? Can everybody hear me? No, it's okay. Great. So a little experiment. Crap. Okay, so yeah. These are both CG images of women that you can't see right now. But the one on the right was actually significantly worse than the one on the left. And the point that I was going to make with that is that I can't say why that one looks better than that one, even though you can't see anything. But yeah, I guess we're gonna skip those slides. And that's kind of the point. Man, crap projectors. Right. So sucking less is the goal. You're not going to suddenly overnight magically become great designers. Sucking less, and one great way to suck less is to do less. Do less with your interfaces. Go minimal. It's a lot easier to execute a minimal design than it is for you to get ambitious. You get ambitious, you're going to fail. I get ambitious, I fail. So I stick to the minimal because it's what works. I can make something that looks good, and I'm more likely to achieve it. So first of all, start there. It's less opportunities for you to suck. It's kind of popular now. I think there's a trend in like Web 3.0, I guess, or 2.5, or I don't know what version number they assigned to it, but people are suddenly doing less stuff on their web pages. They're putting less items. They're using more white space. And this is a very good trend. I think probably Google is responsible to a large degree. Yeah, and their success, you need to remember that before Google, like this was kind of the standard, you know, or this. That box at the top, that's what you're using here. All the rest is, I don't know, stuff for people who don't know how to type into that box, which I guess is an audience in and of itself. But yeah, there's a reason this is a verb and those guys aren't a verb. It's because Google is simple. They're focused on search, and they removed everything that stood in the way of you doing that. And so that's minimalism. Here's a couple more examples, good examples of minimalist design. This one is a great one. It's a design company called Sleepover San Francisco, and it's a good example of a kind of reference of what you can do, in that it doesn't actually have anything you need to draw, except for that little graphic element at the top right. The rest is just type, and type renders really beautifully in your browser without that much effort on your part. You don't need to draw any type, you just need to use it. And you can create entire user interfaces with type. And the web is mostly type. So this is a good example. This is another good example of mostly type. Yeah, yesterday, while Russ was giving his talk, I saw this and I thought this would be a good example. It's also mostly type. Even though there's a whole bunch of images here, what you're looking at is an interface that's really mostly type. All of the hierarchy, all of the contrast, all of the things that make this interface work is mostly type. You can block out where the images would be, and if you're producing some programmerware thing to convince your boss to take this project or to convince a client that this will work, and once you get money you can bring on a designer and fill in those boxes. Again, be minimal, aim relatively low, aim simple, and you're much more likely to achieve something that works. So again, this is a good basic design. Another great design, this is actually a site called Ministry of Type. It's by some designer whose name I really can't pronounce. It uses white space very well. That's the other thing with minimal designs. You want to give your content a lot of room to breathe. So yeah, another famous, no, not changing? Okay, there we go. Square recently launched. They have a great team of designers. It's actually harder than it looks to do really good minimal design. You subtract and you subtract and you subtract, and at some point it's how do you keep subtracting without subtracting your content? But they're able to, they chose the right pieces of information, the only key pieces of information. There's not that much information here. There isn't even a nav at the top. There's barely a nav at the bottom. And it works for them because that's all the information they really need to communicate on this page. So choose the information you need wisely. So those are a bunch of good examples of minimalism. Commonalities between them. They all use solid backgrounds. Don't get fancy with your backgrounds. Just, solid color. That works. Simple color schemes. Sleepover is practically black and white. Square uses 1-2 colors. Hunted uses exactly one color. Again, aim low. Use fewer things, and you're more likely to succeed. A lot of them do the 1 pixel thick lines to